ever looked at yourself and thought, I just don't like who I am? Maybe you dislike your appearance. Maybe you feel ashamed of some of these decisions you have made. Maybe you compare yourself with others and you always seem to come up short. Or perhaps your mind has become so accustomed to criticizing you that self hatred feels like the truth. But what if it isn't the truth? What if self hatred is something you've learned and therefore something you can begin to unlearn? Today we are going to talk about how to overcome self hate in 3 simple steps. I want to be honest with you. Simple does not always mean easy. If you have spent years rejecting yourself, one 10-minute video will not help suddenly erase everything you have learned. But it can help you begin. And sometimes beginning is the most important step. Welcome to the Art and Science of Self-Care. I'm Jennifer Charlo, counseling psychologist, and this is a space where we explore psychology, emotional healing, and practical ways to care for ourselves. Not because we have everything figured out, but because we are willing to learn, heal, grow, and thrive together. Let's begin with a simple question. What or where does self-hate come from? Most people weren't born disliking themselves. A young child does not just naturally examine every part of his or her life and create a list of everything that is wrong with them. They learn how to see themselves through their experiences. So sometimes self-hatred develops after years of criticism. Sometimes it begins with rejection, bullying, neglect, abuse, or being constantly compared to somebody else. It can also develop when love and approval feels conditional. You may have learned that you are only valuable when you perform well, behave perfectly, or please everyone around you, or even if you just be quiet. When those messages are repeated, they can eventually become part of your internal voice. Even when the people who first criticize you are no longer present, their words continue speaking inside your mind. Psychology sometimes describes this as internal critical voice. That voice may sound like you now, but it may not have always been with you. That brings us to step number 1. Step 1, you must identify the voice behind the self-hatred. When you notice yourself thinking, I'm worthless, I'm ugly, I'm ruined, nothing I could ever do is right. Where did I learn to speak to myself like this? Whose voice does this sound like? What happened that made me believe this? Do not ask these questions to blame someone for the rest of your life. Ask them because understanding the origin of a belief can help you stop treating it as an unquestionable fact. There's a difference between saying I am worthless and saying I've learned to feel worthless because of what I've experienced. The first statement sounds permanent. The second one creates room for healing. Your brain learns through repetition. When a thought is repeated frequently, the brain becomes quicker at returning to it. It begins to feel familiar and automatic. But familiar does not necessarily mean it is true. I know, we are human beings. We have strange habits of believing that if we think something often enough, it must be accurate. But repetition is not evidence. A song can get stuck in your head all day. That does not mean it deserves a Grammy, does it? In the same way, a painful thought can repeatedly appear in your mind without being a description of who you really are. So start observing those thoughts instead of immediately agreeing with them. You can say, listen, I've noticed that I'm having thoughts and I'm not processing them well. That small change creates distance between you and the thought. You are no longer saying that the thought is you or your identity. You are recognizing it is a mental event, and mental events can be examined, challenged, and changed. Step 2, replace punishment with truthful compassion. Some people become uncomfortable when they hear the phrase self compassion. They think it means making excuses or avoiding responsibility or telling themselves that everything is wonderful. But self compassion is not dishonesty. It does not mean saying, I have never made a mistake. It means saying, I have made mistakes, but I am still a human being worthy of dignity, accountability, and opportunity to grow. Self hatred, you see, says to us, I made a mistake, so I'm a terrible person. Honest, healthy accountability says, I made a mistake. I need to understand it, repair it, and when I can, make better decisions about it. Or don't condemn your identity. The other addresses your behavior while leaving room for change. So you ask yourself, would I speak to someone I love the way I'm speaking to myself? If a person you care about came to you feeling ashamed, frightened, or disappointed, would you tell her or him that they are useless and beyond hope? Probably not. You might be honest with her or him, but you would also try to help her see one's failure does not represent one's identity. When a self-hating thought appears, practice replacing it with something more balanced. Instead of saying, I am a failure, try, I am disappointed that this did not work, but this experience does not define my entire life. Instead of saying, nobody can love me, try, I may feel unlovable now, but feelings are not permanent evidence of my worth. Instead of saying, I hate my body, try, my relationship with my body is painful, but I'm learning to greater care and respect my body. You don't need to jump out from hating yourself to automatically loving yourself. Your mind would reject that statement and feel like you're trying to fool yourself. So begin with language that is honest, gentle, and true. Step 3, build self respect through small, consistent actions. You may not be able to force yourself to feel loved immediately, but you can begin behaving as though your life is worth caring about. Self respect is strengthened through action. It grows when you keep small promises to yourself. This may mean getting out of bed and taking a shower. It may mean eating something nourishing, taking your medication as prescribed, attending a counseling appointment, or going for a short walk, or finally creating a boundary when someone repeatedly mistreats you. It may mean apologizing when you are wrong without feeling emasculated or ashamed, so you can choose one action each day. You might say, my well being matters to me. Do not underestimate that one small action or thought. Your brain is constantly collecting evidence that you are safe and you are worthy. And in this way, you are teaching yourself, I am someone worth protecting. I am someone capable of change. I am someone who needs care, love, and attention, and my needs matter too. Your feelings may take time to catch up with these actions. That is all right. You do not have to wait until you love yourself perfectly before you begin treating yourself better. Sometimes the behavior comes first, and then the feelings develop gradually. So let's review the 3 steps we spoke about today. First, identify where the voice of self-hatred comes from. Secondly, replace punishment with truthful compassion. And thirdly, build self-respect through small, consistent action. You are not required to admire every part of yourself every day. You're not required to feel confident all the time. The immediate goal is not perfection. The goal is to stop participating in your own emotional destruction. You can acknowledge your wounds without making them your identity. You can accept responsibility without believing that you are irredeemable. You can dislike something about your present situation while still believing your future can be different. And you can begin developing healthier relationships with yourself, even if that relationship has been painful for a very long time. Before you leave, I want you to complete one sentence. Every thought, I am still working on myself. I deserve. Maybe your answer is peace. Maybe it is patience. Maybe it is forgiveness, support, or another opportunity to begin. Write your answer in the comment if you feel comfortable sharing. And if self hatred has become overwhelming or you are thinking about hurting yourself, please do not carry this burden alone. Contact a qualified mental health professional, a trusted person, and an emergency crisis service. Seeking support is not weakness. Sometimes self care means recognizing that a burden is too heavy for you to carry yourself. If this conversation have helped you, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share with someone who needs this reminder. I'm Jennifer Charlo, and this is the art and science of self-care. Until next time, remember you are not only what happened to you, you are the person who can decide what happens next. Let's heal, grow, and thrive.